So usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of clinical precision.
Right, like it's black and white.
Exactly. You break your arm, the x-ray shows that jagged white line right across the bone, and the doctor just points and says, there it is.
It's binary, broken or not broken.
Yeah, and honestly, it's comforting. We like things to be visible, to be categorized, to have a really clear physical origin. But then you step into the world of human communication, or neurodevelopment, or social conflict.
And suddenly that x-ray machine is completely useless.
Completely useless. We're looking at this diagnostic landscape of human behavior that is just incredibly murky.
Oh, absolutely. It's all gray areas.
And case in point, we're looking at a recent highly charged public conflict at a suburban pool today. We are doing a deep dive into a firsthand account that was posted anonymously on Reddit.
It's quite a read.
It really is. It's this brief, seemingly ordinary suburban interaction that just totally spirals out of control. So our mission today is to use this single incident as a sort of microscope. We're going to examine human communication, emotional escalation, and the anatomy of regret, really.
I think it's a perfect case study for that.
Right. So I want to ask you, the listener, a question. Think about a time you found yourself in a public dispute. Maybe it was over a parking spot or a place in line, or maybe something involving your family.
We've all been there.
We have. Have you ever reached that terrifying moment mid-argument where your rational brain taps you on the shoulder and says you've crossed the line, but instead of backing down, instead of apologizing, you double down?
Oh, man. It is a universally uncomfortable human reality.
We hate thinking about it.
We do, but the moment cognitive dissonance hits, our biological programming often just, chooses ego preservation over social harmony. We rarely want to examine those moments too closely.
We run from them, literally. But this deep dive is designed to put that exact, uncomfortable human reflex right under the spotlight.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So to set the scene, the cast of characters in our source material is actually remarkably small. We have a mother, who is the one narrating the account. We have her oldest son, who is autistic. And we have a defiant, maybe 12 to 13-year-old boy armed with a water gun. That's it.
And yet within those three individuals, we're going to see a complete breakdown of nonverbal communication, the overwhelming biological force of parental protectiveness, and just a striking collapse of the adult-child social contract.
It's wild how much happens so fast. So picture the physical setting first. It's a public pool in the summer.
Which is already a highly unique environment.
Yeah. The social rules are relaxed, but they're still very much present. It's loud, it's chaotic, people are physically exposed, and personal space is heavily compressed.
It's an intense sensory environment for anyone.
Exactly. And into this environment, we have the mother's oldest son. She tells us he is autistic and he has trouble speaking. And he isn't swimming aggressively or anything. She notes that he, quote, just kind of walks around the pool. He's just existing in the space, minding his own business.
Which actually tells us a lot about his sensory processing right off the bat.
Oh, so?
Well, for many neurodivergent individuals, especially those who are non-speaking or maybe have limited verbal communication, navigating a hyper-stimulating environment like a public pool, it requires an immense amount of internal regulation.
Because of all the noise and splashing.
Right. The water resistance, the echoing acoustics, the totally unpredictable movements of strangers. I mean, it's a sensory minefield. So walking around the pool might be his specific method of processing that input. He's establishing a predictable rhythm in a very unpredictable space.
Oh, wow. That makes so much sense. He's found a way to occupy the environment that feels safe to him.
Exactly. It's manageable.
But then the antagonist enters the frame, this 12 or 13-year-old boy with a water gun. And he just begins spraying the autistic son directly in the face.
Oof. Yeah.
And the son's reaction is immediate. He attempts to get away. He covers his face. The mother specifically notes that he clearly didn't like it. So he is broadcasting his discomfort.
Absolutely. He is relying on universal nonverbal markers of distress.
Right. That's not subtle.
No, it's not. Retreating and shielding the face, these aren't nuanced, culturally specific signals. These are primal biological responses to unwanted physical stimuli.
Like reflex-level stuff.
Deep in the amygdala, our brain's threat detection center. If a projectile is coming at your visual cortex, you cover your eyes. If an organism is causing you physical discomfort, you increase the physical distance. I mean, this is the most fundamental language we possess as a species.
But the mother recognizes that this fundamental language is either, not landing or it's being actively ignored by the kid with the water gun.
Right.
So she steps in. She serves as the initial interpreter. She asks her son, out loud, if he wants the kid to stop. She's trying to bridge that gap between her son's physical discomfort and the other boy's actions.
And her intervention at this stage is actually highly calibrated.
Oh, you think so?
Definitely. She recognizes her son's inability to verbalize a boundary, so she attempts to establish what we'd call a social prosthetic for him.
A social prosthetic. I like that.
Yeah. By asking her son the question out loud, she is indirectly signaling to the other boy that his behavior is being monitored and that it's unwanted. But she does it all without directly confronting or attacking the 12-year-old.
Ah, so it was like a warning shot.
Exactly. It's a diplomatic, de-escalating first step. It's designed to give the boy a graceful exit.
Okay, let's unpack this right here. Because the kid's response is where this entire situation just fractures. And honestly, it's infuriating.
It really is.
The 12-year-old hears her ask the son. But he doesn't wait for the son to answer, or for the mother to finish translating. He immediately turns to the mother and says, "He never told me to stop, so I didn't know."
Yeah, that line.
He's treating this like a legal contract. It's like the kid is operating exclusively on a verbal terms of service agreement. Like, if the boundary wasn't explicitly spoken in exact contractual language, it simply doesn't exist.
It's a very specific type of defense.
And I gotta be honest, I'm not buying the whole developing teenage brain excuse here. At 12 or 13, kids are playing highly complex, cooperative, multiplayer video games. They're navigating incredibly intricate social hierarchies in middle school.
They definitely are.
You know what backing away means? I think he knew exactly what he was doing from the second one. This feels like the intentional weaponization of a loophole.
You're touching on a really critical debate in developmental psychology here.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, yes, the frontal lobe, which is the area responsible for complex social reasoning and impulse control, is undergoing massive synaptic pruning at 12 years old.
So they are kind of wired differently at that age.
There is a physiological discrepancy, yes, between their highly active emotional centers and their underdeveloped regulatory centers. However, claiming complete ignorance here really stretches the bounds of physiological development.
Right. Like, come on.
The defense he uses, the whole "he never told me to stop, so I didn't know" line, it relies on the hyper-literal absence of spoken words. It deliberately nullifies the universal physical signs of distress we just talked about.
Shielding your face isn't ambiguous.
Exactly. Shielding the face is a cue a toddler comprehends. So for a 13-year-old to claim ignorance based purely on a lack of verbalization, that suggests a highly sophisticated form of malicious compliance.
Malicious compliance. I love that term. It's like, Your Honor, the plaintiff never explicitly stated, "Stop spraying me. Therefore, my continuous spraying was legally permissible."
That's exactly it. It's a deeply literal interpretation of consent that maliciously ignores the reality of human social dynamics.
Because we don't live like that.
No, we don't verbally consent to every single social interaction. If I accidentally bump you in the grocery store and you wince and pull your arm back, I don't wait for you to issue a verbal command for me to step away.
You just say sorry and move.
Right. I read the physical cue and I apologize. This kid is rejecting the implicit, silent rules of society in favor of a strictly explicit verbal requirement. He knows where the technical boundary lies, and he is using it as a shield.
And he's deploying that shield against a child who specifically struggles with speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the cruelty of applying that specific loophole in this context is just staggering.
It's very targeted.
So the mother, trying to keep it together, she provides him with the literal translation of the body language. She explains to him very clearly that when someone is covering their face and walking away from you, you take that to mean they don't like it and that you should stop.
Which is a very clear educational response.
Right, and logically, the conflict should end there. The fact that it doesn't forces us to completely reevaluate this 12-year-old's motives, because we aren't looking at a misunderstanding anymore. We're looking at a power struggle.
And the transition here is really pivotal. The mother provides the translation key. Right. If he truly honestly didn't know, then providing him with the information resolves the cognitive deficit.
He should just say, "Oh, my bad."
But the mother writes that the kid kept arguing with her. He kept saying over and over that he didn't know because her son didn't tell him to stop. He completely refuses to accept her translation.
He just clings to that loophole. Because, in a traditional community setting, if an adult corrects a child, especially about something as fundamental as not physically bothering another kid, the expected response is compliance, or at least a sullen retreat.
You'd expect him to just swim away, grumbling.
Yeah. You don't stand your ground and debate the semantics of the correction with a stranger.
No, you don't. And his refusal to accept the premise of her argument is a direct rejection of her societal authority as an adult.
He's challenging the hierarchy.
He is insisting that his reality, where only spoken words dictate boundaries, is the only valid framework. By repeating his defense on a loop, he is attempting a psychological war of attrition.
He just wants to wear her out.
He is betting that the adult will eventually tire of the semantic debate and just walk away, which would effectively cede the territory to him.
But the mother doesn't walk away. She actually escalates physically. Up until this point, we assume she's been on the pool deck, intervening from the sidelines. But she writes, I got into the pool at this point and said it to the kid again. I was angry at this point as well.
This is a huge shift.
I really want to look at the spatial dynamics here. Getting into the water is massive. Is this the exact moment she loses her authoritative high ground? Like, by stepping into the water, coming down to his physical level, does she accidentally validate him as a peer combatant rather than a child being corrected?
From a sociological standpoint, absolutely. Stepping into the water fundamentally alters the spatial authority dynamic.
Because she's not above him anymore.
Right. When you're standing on the deck looking down, you represent the lifeguard, the referee, the overarching authority figure. You are dry, you are mobile, you are in control.
You're separate from the chaos.
By entering the pool, she crosses a literal and psychological boundary. She enters his territory. The water levels the physical playing field.
Oh, man.
Furthermore, she does it out of anger. She is attempting to use physical proximity to assert dominance, but in doing so, she sacrifices her detached, authoritative status. She becomes just another body in the water.
Just another person arguing in the pool. And the kid recognizes that leveling of the field instantly. The mother writes, the kid kind of bucked up to me and showed absolutely no fear or remorse.
For a phrase.
Bucked up.
I know. Here's where it gets really interesting. We are talking about a 12 to 13-year-old boy confronted in the water by a furious grown woman, and his instinct is to physically posture, to push his chest out. He feels entirely secure.
Bucking up is a fascinating evolutionary reflex.
Really, it's evolutionary. It is. It's a primal, animalistic display of dominance. It's a way to artificially increase one's physical footprint when challenged by a perceived threat.
Like a bear standing on its hind legs.
Exactly. For a 12-year-old to execute a dominance display against an adult female stranger, it indicates a disturbing comfort with confrontation. It confirms that the traditional power dynamic has been completely shattered in his mind.
He doesn't see her as an adult at all anymore.
He does not view her as an elder to be respected. He views her as a territorial rival to be intimidated.
The tension is incredibly high now. They are face to face in the water. And the mother tries, remarkably, one last time to appeal to reason. She repeats her explanation and tells them that when you're in a public pool, you have to be, quote, mindful of other people.
She's trying so hard to pull it back.
She is. She's desperately trying to invoke the social contract of the shared space.
But she's clinging to the concept of civic mindfulness. And mindfulness is a highly abstract adult concept.
It's a bit too advanced for him right now.
It requires a developed theory of mind. That's the ability to attribute mental states, beliefs, and desires to oneself and to others, to understand that others have beliefs and desires that are different from your own.
Which he's clearly lacking in this moment.
Right. It requires prioritizing the collective good over individual impulse. It is the exact philosophical opposite of the kid's hyper-individualistic, literal-minded defense.
And his reaction proves he completely rejects that philosophy. He rolls his eyes and he yells at her that it wasn't his fault.
Let's consider the evolutionary psychology of the eye roll for a second.
Yeah, please do. I see it enough.
It isn't just a physical gesture. It is a profound social signal. It evolved as a way to signal to others in a group that an individual is acting outside of the accepted norms, effectively signaling outgroup status.
Wow, so it's like a rejection of the person entirely.
Yes. When a teenager rolls their eyes at an adult, it conveys deep contempt. It communicates on a primal level, you are fundamentally irrational and I reject your status.
That is so powerful.
Coupled with yelling that it wasn't his fault, he completely absolves himself of any responsibility for the physical reality of his actions.
He is just impenetrable. And that brings us to the breaking point. The mother writes, at this point, I was actually over the edge and I told the kid to F off.
Yeah, the breaking point.
A climax of the entire encounter. She uses profanity to a 12-year-old in a public pool.
The use of profanity here is the clinical manifestation of the prefrontal cortex shutting down.
Just going offline.
Completely. When the amygdala, the brain's threat center, is overwhelmed by anger, frustration, and the perceived threat to her child, it literally hijacks the brain's neural pathway.
Like she's not even thinking anymore.
It suppresses the logic and regulation centers of the prefrontal cortex. She has run out of rational tools. Her attempts at education failed. Her appeal to civic duty failed. Her physical intimidation failed.
She tried everything.
And the profanity is an emotional ejection seat. She officially abandons her role as the educator and the adult.
And the kid's response is the most chilling part of this entire story. The mother tells him to F off, and the 12-year-old immediately responds, "You're a grown woman acting like this."
It is a masterclass in conversational judo.
I mean, I want you, the listener, to really put yourself in that water for a second. Your adrenaline is spiking. You are trying to protect your vulnerable child from a kid who's actively tormenting him. You've tried logic. You've tried presence. You finally snap.
You lose control.
And suddenly, this 12-year-old punk calmly holds up a mirror to your own behavior and critiques your maturity. He weaponizes her own demographic status.
What's fascinating here is the speed and precision of his counterattack. That's what makes it so devastating. He recognized the exact millisecond she abandoned the social contract, and he instantly weaponized societal expectations against her.
He didn't even miss a beat.
No, and by doing so, he proves your earlier hypothesis correct.
Wait, my hypothesis about what?
The fact that he wasn't clueless?
Oh.
Yes.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Precisely. His initial defense was built on a feigned ignorance of basic social cues. He didn't speak, so I didn't know. He played the naive child, but the moment the mother curses, he instantly appeals to a highly complex, nuanced social construct.
The societal expectation of emotional regulation.
Exactly. The decorum expected from an adult female in a public setting. He knows exactly how a grown woman is supposed to act. He understands the rules of society perfectly well.
He baited her. He baited her into losing her composure and then penalized her for it. He positioned himself as the rational observer of an unhinged adult.
The role reversal is complete.
He flipped the entire script, transforming himself from the aggressor tormenting a vulnerable child into the victim of a cursing woman. And the mother knows it. She writes, "I felt the sting, knew he was right."
That is such a raw, honest admission of defeat.
It is. I mean, what is that sting psychologically?
That sting she describes is the acute physical sensation of cognitive dissonance.
How so?
Her internal narrative, "I am the righteous, protective mother," violently clashes with the external reality she just created. I am an adult screaming profanities at a minor in a public pool. The brain experiences that dissonance as actual psychological pain.
So she feels the pain. She knows she's factually wrong in her execution. This should be the moment for the apology, right? The mature response is to say, "You know what, I shouldn't have said that, but you still need to leave my son alone."
That would be the regulated response.
But she doesn't do that. Instead, she doubles down. She says, "I can't wait to see how you turn out when you're grown up. I really want to understand the biological mechanism here. Why do we do this? Why do we attack harder when we know we are wrong?"
It's an ego preservation mechanism, and it's driven by that same amygdala hijack we discussed.
Because we feel threatened.
Yes. Conceding in that moment, admitting that the 12-year-old was right about her behavior, would require a level of vulnerability and humility that the brain interprets as a profound social threat.
Like a physical attack almost.
When flooded with adrenaline and shame, the brain perceives the loss of the argument as a literal threat to the self. To protect the ego from this acute shame, the brain lashes out. It's an automatic defense protocol. If I cannot win the argument on the facts of the present, I will attack your fundamental character.
So what does this all mean? It's like a squid inking the water. She throws out this heavy, dramatic accusation about his future character to completely muddy the environment.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
It's a biological reflex designed to blind the predator, in this case, the public humiliation, so she can escape. Because look at what she attacks. His future. "I can't wait to see how you turn out when you're grown up." The argument about the water gun, the pool etiquette, the body language is all gone.
She's changed the battleground.
She projects her anger into a hypothetical future where he is a failed adult and she is ultimately vindicated.
And it's a grandiose, entirely unprovable accusation. It allows her to reclaim a microscopic sense of superiority in a battle she has comprehensively lost.
And the moment she drops that squid ink, she flees. She writes, "We left a pool after this."
The retreat.
The physical retreat is the ultimate manifestation of the shame. The pool has transformed from a recreational space into a theater of her own humiliation. She went in trying to protect her son, and she leaves having created a chaotic scene that likely caused her autistic son even more distress.
While the antagonist gets to stay in the pool, victorious.
Exactly. Which transitions us from the physical theater of the pool to the digital theater of the internet. The mother goes home, the adrenaline metabolizes, the cognitive dissonance settles down, and she turns to Reddit to write out the entire encounter.
And this is where the real reflection happens.
Yeah, in her conclusion, she writes, "I do feel bad for what I said. Not terrible, but a little bit of shame. Now that I'm writing it out, I see how stupid it really was."
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's fascinating.
What is the psychological function of the digital confession? Why broadcast this failure to a panopticon of strangers?
It's deeply tied to the mechanism of writing itself. The act of translating raw, chaotic emotion into sequential, readable text. It forces the brain to utilize completely different neural pathways.
Oh, interesting. So it physically changes how you process it.
Yes. When you are in the pool, you are experiencing the conflict entirely from the first-person emotional perspective. But when you sit down to structure a narrative so that others can understand the chronological flow of events, you are forced to step outside of yourself.
You become the narrator.
Which inadvertently turns you into an objective observer of your own actions.
Now that I'm writing it out, I see how stupid it really was.
Okay.
The text basically forces her to be a witness against herself.
Precisely. The distance created by the keyboard allows the ego to disengage. She can look at her behavior without the amygdala screaming that her identity is under threat. She can rationally acknowledge the objective stupidity of an adult cursing at a child, regardless of the intense provocation.
But I want to highlight the incredible nuance in her final thought here. She says she feels not terrible, but a little bit of shame. It's such an honest appraisal.
It really is.
She doesn't perform this, this weeping self-flagellation for the internet. She feels just a little bit of shame. And I think the reason why is because her core motivation was fiercely pure.
The mama bear instinct.
Exactly.
It is deeply ingrained in our evolutionary biology to protect our vulnerable offspring from environmental threats. The instinct itself is universally understood and celebrated.
The protective drive was entirely valid. But what this story so perfectly captures is the messy, chaotic reality of executing that protection in public.
It rarely goes as smoothly as we'd like.
No. The instinct was pure, but the execution was catastrophically flawed. She allowed a 13-year-old to dictate her physiological and emotional state. She let a kid drag her down into a linguistic street fight, and she handed him the very weapon he used to defeat her.
It perfectly illustrates the uncomfortable truth that having a righteous cause does not immunize you from unrighteous behavior.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
You can be absolutely factually right in your defense of someone and still be entirely wrong in your methodology. That inherent tension is exactly where that little bit of shame resides. It's the painful gap between the protector we conceptualize ourselves to be and the flawed human we actually become under pressure.
Wow. So just to briefly recap the intense psychological arc we've just traveled. We started with a mother acting as a crucial social prosthetic, trying to bridge a nonverbal communication gap for her autistic son.
A very noble starting point.
We watched that effort morph into an escalating territorial war with a defiant, maliciously compliant preteen. We analyzed the breakdown of spatial authority when she got in the pool and the evolutionary posturing of defiance when he bucked up.
Right, the shift in power dynamics.
We witnessed the climax where the prefrontal cortex shut down, the adult-child dynamic was completely inverted, and the child coldly weaponized societal expectations to just judo flip her authority.
And the resulting cognitive dissonance.
And finally, we explored the sobering clarity that really only comes from the written, third-person self-reflection of the aftermath.
It's a journey.
It is. So, I bring it back to you, the listener. Think about your own daily interactions, your own potential flashpoints. How easily can a righteous desire to protect someone or to enforce a shared rule morph into a biological stress response that dictates behavior you later regret?
It happens faster than we think.
How close are you, on any given day, to being the person screaming profanities in the shallow end of the pool?
It's a behavioral precipice we all walk near, honestly, and I want to leave you with a final concept to mull over.
I'd love to hear it.
We saw how the simple act of writing it out acted as a psychological mirror for this mother. It instantly revealed the irrationality of her heated actions by forcing her into a third-person perspective.
The digital confession is clarity.
Yes. So what if we didn't wait until after the damage was done? After the squid ink was deployed, as you said, what would happen if we trained our brains to mentally draft the Reddit post of our conflicts before we ever speak the words out loud?
Wow.
Imagine pausing in that fraction of a second when the amygdala flares and asking your prefrontal cortex, if I write down the action I am about to take, how will it read to 1,000 objective observers? Viewing ourselves in the third person in real time might just be the ultimate scientifically grounded antidote to the flashpoint.